this is after Buddha has given up almost everybody else. Nobody will go see him, and he says, well, Buddha says, well, why don't you, Suda, he said to the merchant's son, Sudata, noble son, go to the Chami Vimalakirti to inquire about his illness. And Sudata says, no, I don't really want to go. I'm a bit reluctant to go to that good man to inquire about his illness. Why? Well, then he tells the story. I went one day and I was celebrating a great sacrifice, a Mahayajna. A great sacrifice is where you open your treasuries and you invite the whole community to come and take whatever they want. And you give whatever they ask for to anybody in the entire community. It's about, in theory, it's like a potlatch, in ancient Indian custom. Same.
What page?
What?
39.
Oh, this is page 39. And so he's giving that to everyone, to all the needy, although maybe the really funkiest needy, like the lepers or something, are not included there, which we don't know when he tells the story right away, but you can tell later. And then at the last day, Vimalakirti came and he said, merchant's son, you should not celebrate a sacrifice in this way. You should celebrate a dharma sacrifice. What is the use of the sacrifice of material things? So I then asked him, well, how do you give a dharma sacrifice? This is giving is his thing, this guy, and he wants to do the right thing. So he says, so then Vimalakirti describes a dharma sacrifice, and then the higher type of giving than giving a material thing. And he says, a dharma sacrifice is that which develops living beings without beginning or end, giving gifts to them all simultaneously. What is that? It consists of the great love which is consummated in enlightenment, of the great compassion which is consummated in the concentration of the holy Dharma on the liberation of all living beings, of the great joy which is consummated in the awareness of the supreme happiness of all living beings, which you are aware of when you're a Buddha. You realize they are really happy in spite of all their complaining and their grumbling and their misperception of themselves as miserable, and of the great equanimity which is consummated in concentration through knowledge. The Dharma sacrifice consists of the transcendence of generosity, which is consummated in peacefulness and self-discipline, of the transcendence of morality, which is consummated in the moral development of immoral beings, of the transcendence of tolerance, consummated through the principle of selflessness, of the transcendence of effort, consummated in initiative toward enlightenment, of the transcendence, I would translate nowadays as creativity toward enlightenment, in the transcendence of meditation, consummated in the solitude of body and mind, of the transcendence of wisdom, consummated in the omniscient gnosis. The Dharma sacrifice consists of the meditation of voidness, that's freedom, consummated in effectiveness in the development of all living beings, of the meditation of signlessness, consummated in the purification of all compounded things, and of the meditation of wishlessness, consummated in voluntarily assuming rebirths, for the sake of not resisting being reborn and engaging with being. The Dharma sacrifice consists of heroic strength, consummated in the upholding of the holy Dharma, of the power of life, consummated in the means of unification, the political virtues, I would call them today, the social policies or political policies, actually, of the absence of pride, consummated in becoming the slave and the disciple of all living beings, of the gain of body, health, and wealth, consummated by the extraction of essence from the essenceless, of mindfulness, consummated by the 6 remembrances, that's remembrance of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the gods of morality, and so forth, of positive thought, consummated through the truly enjoyable Dharma, the purity of livelihood, consummated by correct spiritual practice, of the respect of saints, consummated by joyful and faithful service, of soberness of mind, consummated by absence of dislike for ordinary people, of high resolve, or I would nowadays say messianic resolve, consummated by, or universal responsibility, consummated by renunciation, of skill and erudition, consummated by religious practice, of retirement and solitary retreats, consummated by understanding things free of passions, of introspective meditation, consummated by attainment of the Buddha gnosis, of the stage of the practice of yoga, consummated by the yoga of liberating all beings from their passions. The Dharma sacrifice consists of the store of merit, which is consummated by the auspicious signs and marks, the ornaments of the Buddha fields, and all other means of development of all living beings. So by all your merit, that is all the good things you do of generosity, morality, and patience and tolerance, your body becomes marked with these 112 magnificent things when you become a Buddha, and all your Buddhaverse gets all the beauties and ornaments, and every kind of technique and means and art of developing living beings becomes yours to command. of the store of knowledge which is consummated in the ability to teach the Dharma according to the thoughts and actions of all living beings. You have to really know what people think and how they act in order to really effectively engage them with the teaching that leads them to opening their minds to the nature of reality. Since your teaching is how they liberate it, not by believing. So you have to teach them to understand themselves, which therefore requires great skill. So you get that ability. Conceive the spirit of unexcelled perfect enlightenment. That is to say, they decided it was best to become a Buddha. That they were able to imagine the potential of being Buddha themselves, and decided that's what they wanted to make the purpose of their existence. And I, full of astonishment, having saluted this good man by touching his feet with my hand, I started giving him some material thing. That's what I think is so funny. Took from around my neck a necklace of pearls worth 100,000 pieces of gold and offered it to him. But he would not accept it. I then said to him, please accept, good man, this necklace of pearls out of compassion for me and give it to whomsoever you wish. So Vimalakirti is like annoyed at his response to this teaching of the Dharma, because he wants Sudatta to himself become enlightened. And the Buddha, he then gives him a necklace of pearls. But then he says, well, you can give it to anybody you want. Then he accepts it. And then Vimalakirti took the pearls and divided them into two halves. I love this. He gave one half of them to the lowliest poor of the city, who had been disdained by those present at the sacrifice. You know, you can imagine the lepers, the noisy and disruptive ones, the funky, really the funkiest ones, who the butlers and the people, managing the event personnel didn't allow into the event, you see. So he throws half of the pearls to them over the fence, in the house, the mansion of Sudatta. And the other half he offered to the Tathagata Dushprasaha, who lived in a different universe. I just love it. And he performed a miracle such that all present beheld the universe called Marichi, which means something like illusion or hallucination. And the Tathagata Dushprasaha. Dushprasaha means hard to overcome. Like formidable, sort of, the Tathagata formidable. And on the head of the Tathagata Dushprasaha, the pearl necklace took the form of a pavilion, decorated with strings of pearls, resting on 4 bases, with 4 columns, symmetrical, well constructed, and lovely to behold. I really love that. He throws half of it outside to the funkadelics out there. And then he throws half into another universe, opening a doorway of vision into that universe for everyone present to see. And then there's a Buddha there in that universe, Dushprasaha, who's probably pretty formidable one. And then this thing forms a beautiful, exquisite pearl pavilion over the head of that Buddha. Having shown such a miracle, Vimalakirti said, the giver who makes gifts to the lowliest poor of the city, considering them as worthy as offering as the Tathagata himself, the giver who gives without any discrimination, impartially, with no expectation of reward, and with great love, that giver, I say, totally fulfills the Dharma sacrifice. Then the poor of the city, having seen that miracle and having heard that teaching, conceived the spirit of unexcelled perfect enlightenment. They, scrambled to get their pearls, but they also then thought, what a fantastic thing to be a Buddha, to do something like that. Therefore, Lord, but then it's a kind of non sequitur, but you can see it. Therefore, Lord, I'm a bit reluctant to go see that good man to inquire about his illness, because I don't know what is going to happen. Because that's a pretty intense thing. Like suddenly, he shatters their social conventional thing, and then suddenly he opens the doorway to a different universe, flings 100,000, that's in today's terms maybe $100 million worth of pearls in these 2 different directions. And so he's he wants to go, of course, he loved it, of course. But it was whoa, sometimes things that we end up loving are we're afraid to sort of jump into them.